Hello everyone, this is the next game in the Humble Indie Bundle 8, and this one is called Thomas Was Alone. So let's take a look at it, shall we? The program was a failure, people forget this, it was a massive flop. The coders started adding name strings to the ALS as a joke. Thomas 80.
Thomas was alone. Wow, a weird first thought to have.
Yep. Torsa's voice acting, as you noticed. I should use the gamepad for this.
Thomas decided to start listing his observations for posterity. 1. The whole alone thing. 2. Portals. They led somewhere. He'd yet to work out where. 3. Falling. Thomas was absolutely fantastic at falling. He was almost as good at falling as he was at observing.
Oh. .3.
Okay, interesting. Thomas couldn't fall past this block. Think, damn it, think. What if there was some kind of inverted fall? Some way to... what's the word? Jump. It worked! Thomas had solved the great inverted fall mystery.
And we got an achievement as well.
A big jump. But Thomas noted there was no real danger in missing it. The world didn't want him to fail here. It was pushing him, but gently. This all seemed a little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted. It was unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any moment.
Let's get this thing.
He was starting to suspect. This all seemed a little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted.
Damn it, I want to get that. Collectible.
This all seemed a little dangerous.
Oh god.
This all seemed a little dangerous.
Yeah.
The world.
Let's die
This all
again.
seemed a little dangerous.
Yay.
The world was not to be trusted. This all seemed a little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted. It was unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any moment.
And now it will talk once again.
This all seemed a little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted. It was unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any moment.
The voice acting is pretty good.
He was starting to suspect it might even be doing so on purpose. Paranoia.
The voice acting is definitely really interesting.
Thomas wondered whether the portals were actually taking him anywhere. He felt like he was making progress, but there wasn't really any way to know. He seemed to be moving predominantly up and to the right, which might or might not be important.
.07.
It might have been paranoia again, but Thomas could have sworn the world was becoming more complicated. It always seemed to be one step ahead of his skills. It had been designed just for him. He wondered why. Was the world testing him? No, it too obvious.
Ooh, that was a long jump. A fall. Fortunately, there is no fall damage, as Thomas is good at falling.
Something about the boiling, toxic, glowing water intimidated Thomas. He didn't like it. He certainly didn't want to swim in it.
Definitely.
He made another mental note. 4. Water. Not good. To be avoided.
Oh my god.
The loneliness was getting to Thomas. No amount of observation or obsessive note-taking could combat that.
Yeah, of course, it's sometimes good to be alone, but not always. I totally agree with that. It does get to you eventually.
Had a new theory. The world was training him. He could feel himself getting smarter. There was the mental list to consider. Over the minutes and seconds since his spontaneous generation, he'd become a pretty skilled jumper. He was evolving. He just wished he had someone to share it with.
Oh, that's sad. There or B? I submitted hundreds of bug reports. I told that idiot this would happen. Overlapping scripts, more than one AI was bound to be spawned into an environment at some point. Turns out I missed the point. That little error.
Chris took an immediate and deep dislike to the skinny red rectangle. Who the hell did this Thomas think he was?
Aha. The what button? Oh, this. This is becoming really interesting.
Chris had been doing fine. He wasn't the highest jumper, but he'd held his own. He'd even been graceful at times. Well, not technically graceful. It's probably the wrong word, but you know, fine. There was that skinny little runt leaping about like he owned the place.
Ouch. I'm sure that Thomas is happy that there's someone. He can share his thoughts with. Was more like it. A glowy white thing. Only Chris could get to it, which of course made it all the more enticing. What would it do? What new opportunity might this switch open up to him? Great.
Another chance for Thomas to jump slightly higher than Chris. How fortunate. Seriously, this made the whole switch pressing thing entirely worthwhile. Was this good? Because on the surface, it did not seem good. Chris was pretty scared. Little Red seemed fine, happy to be on his merry little adventure. Chris couldn't shake the feeling that things had taken a significant turn for the worse since Thomas had joined him. Sure, he'd been able to piggyback his way to ever so slightly higher platforms, but where had that got him? Well, to ever so slightly higher platforms, which was sort of his point.
So, this has been Thomas. Thomas was alone. And this is another one of the Humble Indie Bundle games. Humble Indie Bundle 8 games. Ouch. So thank you for watching, and
Chris stared at Thomas with pure hatred. He seemed so very happy at their situation. Friends together, a brave fellowship of quadrilaterals on a quest for greatness.
and I'll see you next time in another game.